So what's the review's recommendations for the British Army? Well, first it has to modernise. The review says the UK needs a minimum of 100,000 troops, 73,000 from the existing regular army and the remainder from reserves. There should be a small increase in the size of the regular army when finances allow, and the reserves it already has need to be used more effectively on tasks they can deliver and which provide value for money. The SDR also recommends the structure of the army is modernised. The British Army currently provides 2 divisions to NATO as part of its 2 Strategic Reserve Corps, known as the SRC. The review says that corps should be placed under the command of the ARC, the Allied Rapid Reaction Corps, which the UK leads. It should also have corps-level capability, says the review, with 3 manoeuvre brigades. The Royal Marines should at some point be integrated into that NATO SRC as well. The Defence Review says the Army needs to accelerate the introduction of its new Recce Strike warfighting approach and focus on incorporating new technologies as they emerge. Overall, it says the British Army should be bolder in ambition and should aim to increase its lethality tenfold in the coming years. The SDR says the RAF must stay at what it calls the leading edge of air combat as it transitions from crewed aircraft to more and more uncrewed and eventually completely autonomous platforms. The MOD needs to invest heavily in drones which can work alongside 4th, 5th and future generations of aircraft. It says more F-35s are going to be needed, and it also for the first time says this could include the conventional takeoff and landing F-35A, as well as the short takeoff and vertical landing B model that the UK's already bought. The review says the MOD should buy more E-7 Wedgetail early warning and control aircraft when it can afford them, and adapt the MQ-9 Protector drone, the successor to the Reaper, with some sort of maritime surveillance capability. The RAF should also consider buying more A400Ms or bolstering the transport fleet with more private charter aircraft. The review points to RAF Bryce Norton in Oxfordshire, the RAF's transport hub, as needing investment, and it says the MOD needs to have a backup plan if Bryce is ever put out of action. Finally, the SDR looks at the RAF's T1 and T2 Hawk trainers, the aircraft used by the Red Arrows. It says they need to be replaced with a new cost-effective fast jet trainer, and it also recommends that the current training arrangements for jet pilots are urgently revised, with more use of contractors and overseas training. What about the SDR's recommendations for the Royal Navy? Well, the senior service, it says, must move to operating hybrid carrier air wings with a mix of crewed combat jets like the F-35 and autonomous uncrewed aircraft. It says the Royal Navy needs to be equipped with single-use or one-way attack drones, and in the future it should have the ability to fire long-range missiles from the decks of Britain's 2 aircraft carriers. The government announced last week that it plans to build up to 12 new nuclear-powered attack submarines, which will eventually replace the Navy's Astute-class subs. The SDR says the Royal Navy needs to focus on rapidly increasing the use of autonomous vehicles in this subsea domain as well, by using underwater and airborne drones to hunt for submarines and mines. The Navy should explore developing an autonomous air defence system that could use directed energy weapons, lasers, to shoot down enemy missiles or drones. This maritime shield could then be woven into the UK's integrated air and missile defence system. The SDR says the Royal Navy should also work with private industry to develop a fleet of anti-submarine frigates based around the new Type 26 that could be exported into the global market. The review says the Royal Navy should find ways to increase the size of the Royal Fleet Auxiliary. It suggests it could possibly use commercial shipping in areas where the threat level is low. The Royal Navy says the SDR document must also play a leading role in protecting Britain's undersea infrastructure and shipping, and to do it, it has to work with private industry to develop cutting-edge maritime surveillance capabilities.
Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.